And if any of you know My Little Pony, then you know what I'm talking about. I feel really professional. I just recorded myself singing. Hello, Grimsimmer here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that way you can be notified every single time I upload new Sims content. Do you want to see this house go from this to this? Then keep on watching. So today we are building the house from it, but before I go into that, I do want to apologize for this last week. Life has been crazy. I think I mentioned this in my couple other videos, but I've been living with my mom. I'm back at my sister's house. My mom is moving. It's complicated. So that's why there was no voiceover on the cottage video, but hopefully my 100 baby challenge episode 1 redeemed me in some way. I had a lot of fun doing it, but regardless, moving on. So throughout the entire month of October, I am planning on building a house from iconic horror movies about 3 times I think this month. I do have a special horror machinima coming out on the 29th, so stay tuned for that. There will be more info on that coming soon. So this week I am building the house from It, which is personally one of my favorite horror movies, both the original and the new one that came out in 2019 I think, or 2017. Definitely 2017, not last year. Definitely one of my favorite movies, and if you're not somebody that's into horror movies, then I highly recommend watching It, because in my opinion that movie is a comedy. Yes, it's like scary in some kind of way, but for the most part the commentary from the kids is hilarious, and I always recommend it to my friends that don't like scary movies, and when we end up watching it they don't think it's scary. Like, they do and they don't. It's hard to say. I mean, everybody's different, but I highly recommend it if you're looking to watch a scary movie. Since it is October and we are in the Halloween season, you know, I would highly recommend it, both the original and the newer ones. Chapter 2 of the newer ones honestly is not that good in my opinion. The CGI is just a little bit too much, but I definitely recommend the first 2. I actually watched the original when I was like 6 or something. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be watching it, but I did. But I'm a big horror fanatic, horror movies specifically. I'm not a big movie person, but horror movies tend to keep my attention. So that is my plan for this month. I love horror movies. Next week I think I'm building the house from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so stay tuned for that. Okay, sorry for rambling. I think that's everything. Moving on to the build. This build I had a lot of fun with. I've never really built like a scary or haunted house or anything in The Sims, so I was a little bit nervous going into it, thinking, you know, what am I going to use to like make this look remotely scary, because everything in The Sims like aesthetically is meant to look happy and like pleasing. So I also don't have the magic pack or the vampires pack or anything, so I don't have a lot of those key darker elements, but I do have the wall scratches from Jungle Adventures, I don't know, and the wall scratches also from Cats and Dogs, so I use those a lot in the interior. This build took a lot of attention to detail that I'm not really used to. Like, as you can see, I'm putting all of these vines and stuff on the wall, which I tried to emulate from the actual house that, well, it's actually a set, which I didn't know. I thought it was like a real house. Anyways, the house has like all of these dead vines and everything, but there wasn't a swatch that's necessarily dead, and those, I don't know what those are called, but the vines, whatever, that I'm putting on the wall, they don't change with the weather in The Sims, so it's kind of hard to say. I had a lot of fun regardless doing like the front yard and putting all of the grass, even though, you know, you can kind of tell it's like a square in some spots, but I tried to blend it in as much as I could, and I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was fun to make it overgrown, but on this lot in particular, well, I guess in like all lots, for the lot itself, it looks kind of weird in a way, because I have all of that empty space around the lot, which makes it look clean, you know, everywhere except for the background, and then except for on the lot, which just kind of looks weird, but I obviously can't place things over there, so I just did what I could. Maybe there's some element of like weirdness because maybe the lot that it's on is just like has this weird vibe, you know, it's supposed to be scary. Maybe there's like some curse on it, I don't know, like Pennywise's curse, like who knows, but whatever. I still think it came out great, and if you just kind of ignore the fact that everything else around it is like clear, I think it looks really, really good, so I'm actually really happy with it. Plus, if you are new here, I tend to build with a lot of neutral colors like earth tones, and on the interior of the build, well, I used a lot of color in this build. I mean, a lot of it was like beige and black and green, again, more earth tones I guess, but I still used a lot more color than I was used to. Like, I would never use some of these things in my builds regularly, so I'm really happy that I did this. And this is worth mentioning, I took some creative freedom with the inside. I could have like done what they did in terms of the inside of the house, like layout wise. I could have looked at the movie for that, but I didn't. I chose not to, just because you never really see like the full interior of the whole house. Like, you see rooms here and there, but you don't see enough to actually get a layout, in my opinion. So I just chose to do whatever I wanted here. Here's me messing with the stairs. My brain could not think here. I literally could not do it. This is a house also that is meant to be not necessarily playable. I mean, you could have it in your game for gameplay reasons if you need like a haunted house in your world for whatever reason. I think this is a great contender for this, but also this house isn't necessarily like functional in a way. I mean, it's got 1 bathroom and 2 bedrooms, and it should work fine, but there's only like this weird 2 bar stools at the kitchen island, and I just tried to make things in a way not make sense while making sense for a horror kind of build. I end up adding a bunch of details at the end, you'll see. So right now it looks like just a normal old rundown house, but I end up putting like the newspapers from cats and dogs all over the house, and like scattered papers and books and more scratches on the inside and stuff. You'll notice that the vines also keep popping in and out from when I like move the walls up and down, which is kind of annoying about this build, but you know, you do what you can, and I think it looks okay. I think those are all of the things I wanted to cover build wise. Oh, but I do want to tell you about my favorite room in this house, just because I thought it was the creepiest, I guess, is the room upstairs, which you can't see right now, but you'll see in a second. It has an art easel in it, and it looks the scariest in my opinion, just because of all the clutter that I add at the end, the random hand that I have on the chest of drawers, and the paintings I put over the bed. I just thought that it looked creepy. I don't know. There's something about artwork that is kind of scary in a way, and it's something that we see a lot in horror movies when I think about it. I mean, we even see it in It, and again, I won't spoil, but it is one of the kids' fears. The clown, Pennywise, feeds off the fears of the kids, and one of the kids' fears is a painting that's in his dad's office. Let's just pretend like I thought about that while I was building, and that's why I included it. That's not actually what happened, but let's just go with that. Another fun thing that I added in this build, I put a door on the stairs, like underneath the stairs. You can't actually use it, it doesn't lead to anywhere, but I thought it was a really fun addition, because in your typical like house in the white family horror movie trope, you know, there's always that door that's under the stairs that leads to the basement where somebody inevitably dies, or like the demons living there. I mean, we see this in Babadook, we see this now in It, and we see this in a million other movies. So I included one because technically in It, we do see this when, what's the brother? Oh, Bill, I think is the name, right? The brother goes downstairs into the cellar, he sees Georgie, and Pennywise like comes up to, whatever, I don't want to spoil it. Alright, anyways, moving on. I mean, what's everybody doing for Halloween this year? Like, is trick-or-treating still gonna happen? I don't know. I have a 5-year-old nephew and a 1-year-old niece, and I feel really sad that they might not be able to trick-or-treat. I can imagine that neighborhoods will still do something, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna be. I might just be Boo from Monsters Inc. just because I have a giant pink t-shirt. My nephew's really into My Little Pony. He's gonna be Rainbow Dash, and if any of you know My Little Pony, then you know what I'm talking about. So maybe I'll just be another pony to support him. I don't know. I'm so excited. I love Halloween. I love fall, and I didn't feel that way until last year, so that's some discourse. I actually used to be a Halloween hater until last year, probably because I was in the Pacific Northwest last year, and it kind of changed my perspective, you know, when I was seeing trees fall and stuff. I've grown up my whole life in the desert. Like, I grew up in Las Vegas, which is another thing entirely in itself. Like, I can go into that in another video. It is not all it's cracked up to be that place, let me tell you right now. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it's not like the cactus was changing the color there, you know, like nothing was happening there. One more quick side note is that now I have this new laptop and I have this $20 mic, which isn't much. I am now using Adobe Premiere Pro, which my mom claims is really hard to use, but you know, little Gen Z things, like I picked it up really fast. So I'm excited about it. I feel really professional. Anyways, I am finally going through the interior of the house with a bunch of little extra decor things and details, like the scratches on the walls and some dirt and the newspapers and stuff, which if I remember correctly, I could totally be remembering this wrong, but in the movie there's the white sheet trope, of course, in the haunted house, but there's also a bunch of trash and paper everywhere, so that's kind of the vibe I'm going for. I know I said I used a lot of color, and I still think I did, more color than I'm used to at least. I don't know, it was really refreshing to just be a little bit chaotic and not really care about necessarily what it looked like aesthetically in a way. This is obviously still an aesthetic, just a different aesthetic that I normally go for. So it was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed it. This build has a whole lot of character, and it plotline aside, I think there's a lot of potential for a lot of fun gameplay here. So I'm excited to play in this at some point. Okay, last thing I'm gonna say before we go to the screenshots here. I just recorded myself singing because I just got this new mic, and I know other people do this. They record themselves singing so that way they can hear it back. And that was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I can't stop laughing. And unfortunately, I will not be sharing that clip with you because that is just way too humiliating. I just wanted to share. So, and with that, we're done. So that is it for today's video, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that way you can be notified every single time I upload new Sims content. And if you want to download this house, my gallery ID is cassiprobably. See you in the next one. Bye!